Well, thanks for staying with us on the program. Our next guest joins us from Wuse in Abuja this morning, talking about Dr. Dennis Olajide, a political scientist who joins us to speak to matters arising at the moment. Hello, Doctor. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Good morning to listeners and our fellow Nigerians.
And then now we'll talk about two issues basically this morning. One is on protest and the other is on the ADC's call to the federal government to clarify the alleged coup plot, expressing fears that the government of the day might use it as a ploy to silence oppositions. But starting with protest, yesterday, major entry and exit points in Abuja were somewhat barricaded and with increased security presence to search, following some alleged ploys to unsettle the peace enjoyed in the FCT. What do you make of the developments of yesterday, and how do you view it?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me start from the letter, the yesterday protest. Let's look at the protest holistically. The actors involved, the federal government, those that led the protest, and the person they are protesting in favor. It is expected of what happened yesterday that the federal government will not lie low or will not take it with left hand. The protest being led by Showore. Not only that, the man Showore told whoever cared to listen that is making his way straight to Azovilla. And that is the seat of power. And anyone thinks the government will take it lightly with him, marching millions of Nigerians to Villa. Judging from the experience of what happened in Nepal recently, the federal government will take it as a civilian coup. That was why you see the entire 3 armed zones was tightly put on security check. That is one. Secondly, look at the magnitude of the man they are protesting for. This is a man that is more larger than life. It has been cat and dog between him and federal government based on him to be released. Thirdly, the man leading the protest, a politician, an activist, then a social crusader. And anyone thinks that government will take it low or slightly with him. They know who he is. That was why you see everywhere was condoned yesterday to see that there is no breach of law and order, especially penetrating into the 3 armed zone, which is the power of Nigeria.
Well, thank you.
When it happens in that 3 armed zones, that said the government is gone.
Dr. Olajide, thank you for this perspective. Thank you for this perspective into the discussion. I'd like to come to the insinuations gaining ground. You talked about the background of Omoyele Sowore. The insinuations making round that he is being sponsored by foreign influences, citing he has dual citizenship. Are there any genuine deductions to be made from these insinuations, in your opinion?
Anything happening in Nigeria has not excluded the hand of foreign countries, especially the Western world, the like of America, the Britain, and the France. They have never let go the African continent. So they are using some of our people to still use one way or the other to either control us or to dictate what might likely be preferable to them. So if you look at Omoyele Sowore, he's having dual citizenship. That is, if anything happens here, he can quickly jump the ship and move to the other side to have a respite. And immediately he jumps there, they will tell you he's their citizen. Exactly what Nnamdi Kanu is doing. Nnamdi Kanu is telling you that he's a British citizen. But at the same time, he's fighting a cause in Nigeria. So if anything happens here, you quickly run down there to seek a protection. That is what the Western world has succeeded in doing to us. Not only Nigeria, the entire continent of Africa. This kind of divide and rule, taking custody of some of our people to sabotage the entire interest of our nation. It is not new. It is only those that didn't understand that we not know that the house of Jacob is the house of Esau. What Shawore is doing, he's not doing it on his own. It takes a lot of financial resources to organize that kind of protest nearly every day. What is the work of Shawore? Where is he getting all those money? If it's not being financed by the Western world, that is why we have to be very careful. We as citizens of African continent, that we should not allow ourselves to be used against ourselves. Because if you are contested as a presidential candidate and you now leading a protest to release a man the court has tagged a terrorist, what are we now saying?
Now Comrade Olajide, let's speak to this legal process that has lingered on for quite a while. In our view, to have a balanced report, before you joined us on the program, we had in our studio Comrade Kunle, who was speaking to the fact that Nnamdi Kanu's trial has lingered for over 4 years despite health concerns, saying that constitutionally it's wrong to detain a person for that long, that if indeed he is guilty, why not prosecute him and have him behind bars to serve his sentence? Why is this case lingering that long? It's a question I'd also throw to you this morning as well. Do you think that in fairness to Nnamdi Kanu's health and the situation at hand, this case ought to have lingered on for this long?
Mr. Presenter, let us not deceive ourselves. This is the problem we are having as a nation. We are not sincere. The prolonged case of Nnamdi Kanu, who is prolonging it? Is it the federal government? The answer is no. It is Nnamdi Kanu lawyers that are delaying. They are using delayed tactics to prolong this case. And in my own opinion, I felt that they knew if this process goes on, Nnamdi Kanu might nearly be jailed. Their lawyers, they have seen the charges provided against Nnamdi Kanu.
But in fairness to the judiciary, we've seen quite a grandstanding. Nnamdi Kanu himself at some point disregarded his legal team and decided to represent himself in the court of law. In some keeping with such cases, if the justice who is presiding over that case does have evidence of grandstanding, that case can be dismissed for irregularities in trial. But it wasn't that way.
It's part of grand plan to store the case. If you follow the case very well, it is one problem or the other. Is either Nnamdi Kanu raising something in the court or his team of lawyers. The federal government lawyers, they've closed their case for long, asking Nnamdi Kanu team to open their defense. But it's not that they tell you they don't want this judge. Tomorrow they tell you Nnamdi Kanu is sick. Next tomorrow they will tell you that yes, why should they be brought to court? So who are you to blame in this matter?
Now they also drawing a reference. They also drawing a reference to fellow agitator Simon Ekpa and how he was repatriated to Finland and his trial was swiftly passed, saying that Nnamdi Kanu also should be repatriated to serve his calls outside the shores of Nigeria for a fair trial in their regard. Do you think that these calls are genuine in any state, and should the federal government explore an alternative resolution means yielding in that direction?
Mr. Presenter, do you know the problem lying in this case? Is the attitude of Nnamdi Kanu on his own. Federal government has no issue. Where the issue lies is this: Kanu on his own, is he ready to lie low or to give away for this agitation is agitating for? See, government is not interested in keeping him there, but they know who that man Kanu is. The man is larger than life. He's larger, bigger than anybody in the entire Southeast. Let's go back to memory lane. When this man started this agitation, you can see that all his word are Lord, are authority. Nobody could challenge him in the entire Southeast. When federal government waged war against him, you could still see him in court, bragging that yes, there's nothing anybody can do about it. He will continue with it. He was granted bail. After granted bail rather, he still moved on, said no, it's not ready. Before the military and the police run after him and the man ran away. Having run away from the shores of Nigeria, his word are still Lord. He gives commands and people obey it. And you think after federal government succeeded in arresting this man, they will now quickly release him back to the society. Mr. Presenter, we have to be sincere to ourselves. Unless we want to create more shouts, he's under custody. His word of sitting at home every Monday still keep on going. You can imagine if this man is released to the public. What do you think will happen? Federal government is not just holding this man for nothing. They knew the reason why they are holding him down. Because if you eventually release this man into the public, then you want to create a very big problem that the federal government will be able to solve.
Dr. Olajide, one thing that the Constitution does enshrine is that the unity of Nigeria is sacrosanct. Despite agitations, it's now with the growing developments, you have also alluded to it on the program this morning, of these allegations of a coup plot. The first time these allegations gained ground in recent times was on the occasion of Nigeria's 65th Independence Day anniversary, where certain events were cancelled, and the response from the ruling APC was that they were cancelled to avert an alleged coup plot. This morning, again, you've alluded to it that the events of yesterday also had some semblance of a civilian coup. The ADC this morning has issued a statement condemning any of such plans to unsettle a democratically elected president. However, they're urging the federal government to clarify the notions gaining ground of an alleged coup, saying that they feel that it might be a ploy by the APC to silence opposition parties. You made the allusion on the program. I'd like for you to speak to these issues of growing grounds of allegations of a coup that might be brewing. What do you make of these allegations, and do the APC and the federal government by extension need to address Nigerians transparently on these allegations?
Mr. Speaker, look who broke out the news first. Sahara Reporter. And you know who that man is behind, the man behind the blogger. I don't take that news to be serious. I'm not seeing any truthful behind that news. Secondly, ADC have every right to say whatever they want to say. They are stakeholders in Nigeria. They are political parties. They must say something to inspire their followers. Lastly, on the issue of whether there is coup planning or not, the only person that can address that issue is the military. And they have done that. What else do we want to hear? The military said there was nothing like that. They have done that. They were arrested. They were arrested for misconduct. Then we have to wait. Because if you arrested somebody for misconduct, there must be internal way of dealing with such. Then they must come back to the entire public to tell us the outcome of their trial for their misconduct. So expecting federal government now to talk on what they cannot, they don't know. It's like you are calling for something that has no meaning. The people that has every responsibility for us to address us is Nigeria military, the defense headquarters. I hope they hold us more explanation to tell us the real fact behind this rumor, whether it was true or not. But for ADC, asking federal government to speak, I don't think that call is in line. The people that are supposed to speak to us is the military body, and which they have done earlier on. But we still need more clarification from them to to know the real people they put into custody, whether they are coup planners or whether they have gone against the ethics of the job. Let them tell the Nigerian public so that we know where we are going.
Now, in concluding, it's also on the provisions in the Constitution for peaceful assemblage, under which protests seemingly falls under. Many are also saying that the current government of the day partook in several protests, but it seems as though they have a disposition not to allow such protests under their administration, citing the federal court, high court order preventing protesters from accessing the Shehu Shagari Way alongside other sensitive security points like you had aforementioned. Do you agree that this is a notion, or do you think that it is also part of the political commentary as concerns the APC-led administration?
Mr. Speaker, we have to be sincere to ourselves. There's no any country on this earth that takes slightly the issue of protest. The America, the father of democracy, some months back, Donald Trump dispatched military to Chicago to disperse protesters. And these are the people teaching us how to do about teaching us how to go about democracy. No government anywhere will allow protesters to do beyond what they thought they would do. Yesterday again in US, there was protest. Are we not seeing it? That the military were dispatched to deal with the protesters. Not only that, I said earlier on, the leader of this protest will know who he is. And he told anyone that cared to listen that is marching to presidential villa. Mr. Presenter, to government, they will think this man want to stage a civilian coup, because we have seen such in Nepal. People under the guise of protesting, before you knew it, the government was brought down and the government become an issue. And you think the sitting government here will fold their hand and close their eyes? We allow a man like Showore to lead millions of people to villa protesting. They won't allow such. Protest is part of our constitutional rights, but it must be done under the ambit of the law. That was why you see the federal government, they condoned the entire 3-arm zone yesterday, because that is the seat of power of Nigeria. Anything that happened within the 3-arm zone of Nigeria, the government is more or less gone. So that is why they don't joke with that kind of protest. There was protest in other places. Do you see police disturbing them? But in the seat of power, no government, Showore that is leading that protest, if he happen to be the president today and somebody tells him that they are bringing protest to villa, will he have allowed it? That is what we have to look into. What you can't take, don't give it to another person. Protest is legitimate, but where the handshake is going beyond elbow, there is something in it again. Are you getting it? And don't forget, the man they are protesting in favor, we know how his issue is being generated in the entire Nigeria. This kind of protest will generate sympathy, even though they thought it might be a peaceful protest. But if that protest lived up to expectation yesterday, Mr. Speaker, what do you think will happen today?
Now, Dr. Olajide,
shout, there have been chaos.
Now, Dr. Olajide,
will never put their hands to allow such.
In closing, now we have a little less than 2 minutes rather. In closing, the federal government seems to have its hands full, whilst it's dealing with the issue of #free Nnamdi Kanu. The NLC yesterday also issued a 4-week ultimatum as it concerns matters between the federal government and NASU. Whilst that is on the other hand is also the issue of the National Association of Resident Doctors complaining that their 30-day ultimatum given to the government seems not have to have yielded any fruits, and they're saying that they would be embarking on a strike as well. How would you advise that the current administration treat the issues at hand to avert a collapse of the economy and key critical sectors?
Firstly, we have to appreciate the federal government. Why do I say so? For the past 2 years, both the ASU and the doctors, they have been having a very work relationship between two of them. Now, there is disharmony between the two of them. Both the federal government and organized labor should understand that Nigeria matter most, that their action and inactions bring more suffering to the entire Nigerians. So the ASU, the doctors, the federal government have to, as a matter of urgency, have to sit down as quick as possible. They have to give and take within themselves. The economy is suffering. They should not add more to this problem. The ASU should understand that there is no way federal government.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Well, our time is up, unfortunately, Doctor, but we appreciate you for taking our time to lend your thoughts to the discussion this morning. We're hoping that the respective institutions will take heed to some of your suggestions. Well, that was Mr. Dennis Olajide Samson, PhD, a political scientist and international relations expert, lending his thoughts to the matters arising from the hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu protest, which coincided with the 5th anniversary of the 20th of October 2020 NSAS protests. Well, discussions, commentaries are on protests and how the government of the day responds to the yearnings of the citizens and the constitutional provisions for such to take place in our country, Nigeria. Well, this is where we draw the curtains to a close on our current affairs-driven discussions. Coming up at the top of the hour is ADBN Sports with the return of the UEFA Champions League. Key games in actions tonight. Some of the elite clubs across Europe will take to actions to slug it out in the new format of the UEFA Champions League. And our sports editor is on hand to keep you abreast with that development from the world of football. And of course, more developments from the beautiful sporting world. Do well to stay tuned.